major impurities present in water. As we have seen, the different sources of water are different, so the impurities will also so much different with respect to the source of. If you see, the water contains, irrespective of the source, it may contain the suspended particles or suspended solids, and these solids may come from the flowing water or even from the water of the stagnant water also. These suspended solids will have the organic material, maybe plant or animal origin, or inorganic materials like silica, or the solids of inorganic materials like silica. And if you see the another type of impurities, that is the colloidal particles. Hope you know the colloidal particles. The size of the colloidal particles is much less, and the water in these colloidal particles will distribute homogeneously. This is also the origin of these colloidal particles may be the traces of oils, if at all, if the water contains the oil, or in between the water flowing, if the oil comes into contact with the water, that forms a colloidal particles, and as well as small particles like maybe origin of plants or animals, they may form the colloidal particles in the flowing water. And the next important impurities are microorganisms, the disease causing microorganisms. It should be noted that most of the disease are waterborne, and most of the disease will spread through the infection in the water. So the microorganisms, the water is the main source of most of the microorganisms like salmonella and typhoid causing bacteria, or the larvae of insects. These kind of microorganisms or insects larvae or the eggs of the amphibians like frogs will form the suspended particles, as well as they will form disease causing organisms in the water. Now, the last and most important one is the dissolved solids. In case of river water, the dissolved solids may be of the origin of when they flow onto the surface of the water, most of the salts will dissolve into the water, and that forms the dissolved solids. The river water, in between the flow of water, when any sort of solids or any sort of salts will come across, the water as a universal solvent will dissolve most of the inorganic solvents. And also in case of underground water, if you see, as we discussed earlier, when the surface water to the force of the layers of the soil, when the water is filtering, the water will collect most of the inorganic solids, inorganic salts like calcium and magnesium salts, and even some cases the iron +2 and +3 salts, which will be dissolved in the water. These dissolved salts will cause hardness to the water. These dissolved salts of calcium and magnesium, some cases iron with the most of the anions will form the salts, and which will in turn give you the hardness to the water. If you see the definition of hardness of water, it is given as the foam forming or the lather forming capacity of of water is hardness. Or if you say simply, if the water forms much lather with the soap, it is a soft water, or that water is said as soft water. If the water does not form much lather, or it forms a white color scum, white color precipitate, then it is said as the hard water. With the soap, if it forms much foam or lather, then called as the soft water. If with the soap which does not form, or simply which does not form soap or lather, then we will say it as hard water. So now if you try to define the hard water, the water which does not give much lather with the soap is called as hard water. With the water, if it forms a scum, a white color scum or a white color precipitate, that water is called as the hard water. If you see, while less lather with the hard water, we have a reaction to proceed. Soap contains stearic acid or stearate, sodium stearate or sodium oleate as a major fatty acid in its contains, and these stearates and oleates will only the reason to form the lather when it is mixed with the water. If you see the sodium stearate is C7H35COONa. This is sodium stearate. This sodium stearate, when mixed with the normal soft water, it forms micelles, and micelles are the reason to form the foam. But when it reacts, or when it mixes with the hard water, it forms, because the hard water contains the calcium and magnesium salts, so it forms the salts of calcium and magnesium stearates C17H35COO taken twice, either calcium or magnesium, and these calcium and magnesium stearates are insoluble in water, or it forms the precipitate. Insoluble in water, or it forms the precipitate in the water. This is the white color scum what we will see when the soap is dissolved in hard water. Whereas in case of soft water, it simply forms the micelles, and because the sodium stearate will be intact, and it forms the stearate ions, and those stearate ions will form the micelles, and it forms the lather or foam. This is the reason why less lather with the hard water. Now, if you see the difference between the soft water and hard water, you can differentiate easily. Soft water will give you more lather, and it gives you less lather. And the reason we know, we have seen earlier. And here, no dissolved salts will be there. But whereas here, this dissolved calcium and magnesium salts will be there. And with the soft water, if you use the soft water for the cooking or for the boiler, it consumes less energy or less heat because it contains only the pure water. So, less energy utilized when used for heating. Because of the presence of these calcium and magnesium ions in hard water, it requires more energy as the boiling point of the water will be elevated. More energy utilized as the boiling point of water is elevated. These are the main simple differences between soft water and hard water. Even this is the question which appeared in previous question papers of engineering chemistry.